Welcome, loyal subjects, to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. We have an abbreviated crew here today for Mayapack Public Library's Pop Culture Podcast.
They're calling us the trifecta.
I like that. I like that.
Sounds good.
I like that. So today, we're continuing our crime series with probably the best of the movies that we've watched so far. It's 2015, 2014?
15,
right?
You got it.
2015's Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Well, we're not even close. Denis Villeneuve's Sicario, starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin. So, the story follows Emily Blunt's character, who is a kidnap rescue team leader for the FBI. And she gets recruited to help Josh Brolin and his character kind of shake up the drug trade a little bit.
He is a federal agent, and it's very unclear what kind of federal agent for a while.
Yeah, he claims to be DOD, Department of Defense, but we all know he's not Department of Defense. We know he's something scarier than
that. Other than for the audience, because that was confusing why he was not up front, especially since, just jumping ahead a little bit, we know that the higher-ups gave the go for, do whatever must be done, use whatever methods must be used. Why wouldn't he have been a bit more up front
I think it's to safeguard in case Emily Blunt ever did go and talk about what she's seen. Because even though they've been given that I can't imagine it'd be very good if what they were doing got out.
Yeah,
Simona, as somebody that's watched a lot of things with CIA and FBI and this kind of stuff, you want people to know as little as possible, usually.
Yeah.
So, they were not on a need-to-know basis. They didn't need to know. He needed her for one purpose, and that was literally to just be there, be a presence there.
Yeah.
And that was it. Which is, obviously that's jumping towards the end, but that's like such a... And, Reggie, played by Daniel Kaluuya?
I think that's how you say it, yeah. Love that guy, though.
Yeah, he's great. Also British.
A lot of great American accents happening in this film.
Yeah. And you never see it the other way. You never see an American do a British accent, right?
I mean, we do. It usually doesn't go well.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
There's a famous story of the James Bond producers, the Broccoli's, wanted Dick Van Dyke to play James Bond, and he was like, no. Have you seen Mary Poppins? I can't do that.
Yeah, and I think we've seen examples of it going bad though too. Like look at Tom Hardy in Venom. That's pretty awful. And then
whenever Tom Hardy does an American voice, it's always very odd.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
He kind of sounds like he got kicked by a horse.
He does a little bit. Chris Hemsworth in 12 Strong was terrible. Just let the guy speak Australian. He's an Australian.
Oh, you also had a problem with his accent in that weird film. What was it?
Spiderhead.
Yes, you had an issue with his accent there too.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it's like he can just be Australian.
Yeah, right? Why not?
You know what the weirdest one is? In Big Little Lies, they have Nicole Kidman doing an American accent, which she's pretty good at it. It's fine, whatever. But in the book, her character is just from Australia.
That's so bizarre.
And it's just like, you have an Australian lady here.
How is that show?
It's awesome.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. Everyone says it's good. Did you see the second season?
Yes.
Was
second
it as
season,
good?
not as good. But that was it was a lot of meddling. I think they kind of took it away from the director a bit and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But Meryl Streep does come in as a crazy, evil old lady, nice. And that's, you can't beat that.
No. I don't think, is there anybody better than Meryl Streep? Probably not. So, Sicario.
Yes.
I think what I love about this movie is how authentic it feels. I think that this is a kind of movie that you watch it and you kind of say to yourself, wow, this actually, there's potential that this stuff is going on behind the scenes in real life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Emily Blunt's character she's a by the books agent, runs a kidnap response team. When she's brought in to this drug kind of scheme to catch these cartel members, she feels very uncomfortable. She thinks that they're breaking rules and everything like that. One of my favorite parts is when she actually brings it to her supervisor, and he says to her, "If you're afraid of crossing some kind of line, don't be. The boundary has been moved."
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff like I think that probably happens in real life.
I think it also, there's a lot about like the element that she is the fish out of water here, because like even the gentleman that like meet her, like the guy, like the highway scene, and the guy with the glasses that basically says like, I'm so pumped, I'm so
that
like,
guy's a freak.
like basically, but in many ways, like as I was watching, I was saying, but he is the kind of person you need to do this, because at a certain point you can't have morality, especially like when you're dealing with people who lack all morality and are willing to essentially do anything. And I think that's the point that they're trying to tell her, that like, you're not in your territory, this is not your world, these are the rules, and if you don't follow them, this is what's going to happen. Essentially, there are no rules. I mean, there are rules, but there are no rules. And I think that's what she has a hard time wrapping her mind around, that you have to fight as dirty as they fight, which makes sense. I mean, we look at it and it's true. Like the fact that during that scene, she was saying, there were civilians, you started firing, you could have hit people. But at the same time, those cartel members, which one of those guys was really sweaty. Like I could see like he was nervous, like the one with all the tattoos, like they don't care that there are people in cars. Like they're going to fire whether they hit someone or not. So I think that was something that really struck with me too, is that these people know how to play the game, and she has to catch up. Like they're already all on the same page. Like even the army people, like it's like you can tell who these type of people are. Like her partner says, like, I've dealt with these people when I was he in Iraq?
Yeah.
He says, you don't want to be with these people, but like in many ways, that's the kind of person that needs to be in that situation.
I don't know. They make my skin crawl.
No.
They all, like Benicio and Josh Brolin, are so scary to me in this.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense when you learn, like when she starts to realize that Benicio del Toro's character is not who he's claiming to be. It makes sense. But I think also you see that he's not completely devoid of compassion. I mean, when you find out what he went through, it's horrifying. But, like, yes, every one of those were making like, when I saw the men, first of all, she's the only woman, which is really telling. I was like, where are the other women? Not there. So she's a fish out of water in both sense. She's the only woman there. Everyone else doesn't like her. Like, basically, like, why is she here? And then, like, she's the only one that has that sense of, like, we need to do this by the book. But, yeah, all of those characters were making my skin crawl. Like, the two old Marshall dudes who, like, make that joke. But it's like, but I think also...
Are you sober?
Yeah, when they...
Got a bottle in the car if your hand gets shaky.
But think about it. These men must have been doing this for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe they started off like Emily Blunt's character, like full of idealism. And then it's like, nope, sorry. Like, that's not how it works anymore. So, yeah. But they definitely, like, I was like, oh, wouldn't want to be in the room with these
they
guys.
just love killing.
Like, the guy with the glasses, where you're like, what? He's always saying, I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. Oh, my God. I was like, oh, my God. Like, I legit thought he would be one of the, like, traitors. Like, he was gonna, like, the whole scene in the highway, like, I was nervous with Emily Blunt's character.
Such a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, this would be me now.
This whole movie just is a big pit in the stomach. Like, from that opening shot when you just see, like, the suburbs and you just see the SWAT team roll up and you're just like, oh, Jesus, something, like, this is deeply
and
wrong
the music intensifies.
I wasn't prepared for the bodies. Like, I thought maybe there'll be one body. And then when they said there's 15, and
no,
this
the
all
gradual reveal, just, the whole house is just lined with them.
She went there and her team because there was a kid, like, I was a little confused, like, who was she trying to potentially rescue?
She was looking for hostages, it seemed.
Okay, all right.
They must have gotten a tip somehow that there were hostages there.
And then
it turned out that there weren't hostages, and it was actually a much larger, different kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I love that opening sequence, and just the music just intensifies as it goes.
Yeah.
And like the music in all the scenes kind of intensifies. We talked about it's Johan Johansson.
Yes.
It's very unsettling music too. Like I forgot what scene it is, where I was like, oh my god, like it's done so well, where the music just sets the tone, where you're constantly unsettled as you're listening to it play. But going back to the bodies thing, because that really, like, what I saw was like, oh my god, it's like there's 15 here, and we think there's 20 more. I was like,
haven't even touched the crawl space in the attic yet.
I know, but I was like, can you imagine, like, the people in the rooms? You're in the room, and you know there's bodies in the wall.
Well, they're the ones that put them there.
I know, but it's like the fact that you could just be sitting there comfortably, knowing that you've legitimately buried people in the walls, is like a whole other level of, okay, fine, you're just devoid of anything. Like, where you can just be chilling there. Like, there's bodies. Oh, that was such an unsettling scene.
And again, to to bring it back to the point of how this movie feels authentic, like that stuff does happen.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really see it, but if you look at, news sites from other countries and stuff, especially, countries like Mexico, or I know, my wife's brother showed me a news report of something in Ecuador, and that stuff does happen. Like,
and are they more like, because I know here we tend to censor the images, we don't really show things. Like, do they show like do they censor the images the way we do over here, where like you won't really see bodies?
I think the legitimate news organizations censor stuff, but then there's always the
and a lot of times the cartel themselves releases images as a sort of like fear tactic.
Yeah.
So
the whole body is hanging from the bridge, and they just say welcome. They're in Juarez.
Juarez, yeah.
It's like welcome.
I
to
did
Juarez.
see the mayor of Juarez was pretty upset about this movie.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, look, it was really bad up until 2010, but we have been trying very hard to crack down and be safer and better. Yeah. So, I mean, good on him if it happened.
I hope so. And, I don't know who that guy was that Benicio del Toro talks to before he goes to interrogate Manuel Diaz's brother. But, it was obviously somebody that I think worked on them, even though he was in America. I think he was somebody that worked on the Mexican side because he lived in Monterrey.
Oh yeah, the friend, like the guy where, like, and are we supposed to assume that he's one of the legitimate, like, officers? Like, he seems, okay.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got.
Yeah,
because Benicio del Toro says to him, "I'm glad to see you're still in the fight," and I think the reason you want to lean to the fact that he's kind of like legitimate and clean cut is because Benicio del Toro says, "Don't come into the room with me." Like it's better to have plausible deniability.
And can we talk about Benicio del Toro's character? Like, I love the scene where, like, and I'm glad they didn't really show the interrogation, because I thought they were, and I was like, I'm gonna like skip that.
No, I would have warned you.
But it's like how he gets in the man's space as part of his tactic.
Even just like when it just cuts and it just like the camera does the slow zoom into the drain.
Yeah.
Even that is spooky as hell.
Yeah, and I just love the other guy that's just chilling there, popping his gum.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's like, remember, no hablo inglés.
But I love how he just gets in his personal space, and he's just, and that alone is like causing the guy to go like this, and it's like, oh my god, he does a fantastic job of like. But it's like when you first see him, he could be like, oh, okay, guy next door. Yeah. But the way he can switch it from being somewhat charming and normal to like completely like...
His eyes are so dead and
But it kind of makes like...
Oh, yeah.
Like the scene where he's in the plane and his hand is shaking and you can tell that he's probably remembering something, and the way like Emily Blunt goes like that when it's such a normal reaction when you're at someone then you jump back and she was like, are you okay? Yeah. And like he says the bare minimum to her, and I often wonder too if it was a way to protect her as well.
Of course,
because when I'm thinking of the ending, how did he get in the maybe?
Well, he has his ways.
And also Emily Blunt's character. Come on, you work for the FBI. Like, are you? Like, I was thinking you're legitimately, after you've just dealt with a cartel, you're gonna be casually smoking on your balcony, everything open. It's like
she's probably not thinking that she's gonna get like sniped or anything.
I don't know. Like,
but it's funny. I guess Joe was looking at like YouTube comments or something about it.
Yeah, everyone was so mad at her.
That's how I was.
With the balcony scene?
No, just in general. They were like, oh, she doesn't get it. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to do crimes.
Yeah, because I'm like, he just told you the boundary's been moved. Just go and do it. It's okay. Join them. Shoot guns. And then you're like, no, I guess her character doesn't,
That's why I like when going back to the other people, it takes a certain type, and they are that type.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you don't flinch after shooting someone, it's like, okay. I mean, granted, there are some people where they're taught, but if you look at all those men, it makes sense. Like, okay, these are the boy club. Like, it makes sense. These are the dudes that they want to do this because they're not going to question, will a civilian get shot? She obviously, and he tells her, go to a small town. And I imagine, I wonder, if we saw her that she would probably be so broken, maybe she would go to a small town where she would just be like a regular police officer doing, I don't know, someone's cat got stuck in the chimney kind of a deal.
Wouldn't she be so bored? I'd be so bored after going down tunnels and
I would not go back in the tunnels. I would not do that.
I would not have followed Benicio del Toro down that tunnel.
No, the whole night vision.
Yeah, the night vision sequence was horrifying already, and then just even when it lifts, just the sound of the gunshots and everything. Yeah. Lou, you mentioned how good the guns sound in this movie.
Yeah, whoever the sound, I don't know if it's sound editing or if it's the sound effects person or something like that, but the gunshots in this just it just sounds again so real. It's like they really took the time to make that extra effort in the scene when John Barenthal is attacking Emily Blunt.
Oh Jesus!
And the gunshots there. That's that's a real jarring gunshot sound. Like it's not like a fake
yeah.
I didn't know Bernthal was in this movie, so I was pleasantly surprised to see him pop up. Amazing actor.
Yeah, he's great.
Honestly,
God, he's nasty in this.
When they told her don't go in the bank, and I'm like, she went in the bank, and then they're zooming in on her face. It's like, great. Yeah. Now they know who you are.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes with Josh. First off, we talked about Benicio del Toro a little bit. He was great in this. I think one of the things with del Toro is that. You could tell he really starts to care for Emily Blunt because it reminds him of his daughter. Mm-hmm. But, when he holds the gun to her head at the end of the movie, you could tell he's willing to do anything to get the job done.
Yeah.
But Josh Brolin in this is just, I loved him in No Country for Old Men. This is probably my favorite Josh Brolin movie. He just, when he tells her, don't go in the bank, he's like, don't go in the bank, Kate. She's going in the bank. He knows what's going to happen, but he's like, I can't tell her. I can't get through to her. She's just going to have to learn, and that's why Benicio del Toro's following her.
Yeah, that moment, I was like, something is up. And then, she says, I almost had sex with my hitman. Oh my God.
He's not a hitman.
Yeah, but even, again, the way Benicio gets in his space, the way he's, digging in his ear, I just love it. He's like, I'm not going to negotiate. You're going to speak. Where I just love that moment. He just gets in his space. Yeah. And it's just
and even, Josh Brolin during that scene is just sitting in the front seat. He's just laughing.
I know.
Yeah, it's just...
Because he knows he's going to basically talk, and it's just so funny. But yeah, and I kind of felt sorry for the cop who, the one who's in the tunnel, distributing.
Oh yeah.
Because I understand he's distributing drugs, but at the same time, I thought he would survive. The moment where Benicio del Toro says get out of the car, and he's just standing there, and the guy says, "What do you want?" and the guy's not answering. I was like, oh my God, he's going to die. Yeah. And
And I thought, what was so kind of cool about that was, you're kind of following this guy, at little bits throughout the movie, and you really do think he's going to have kind of this larger role.
Yeah.
And then when it comes down to it, he's killed kind of so unceremoniously.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of how this all goes down.
Yeah.
That ending with, so he obviously. So you find out that the whole point is because the Americans want to be able to control the drug trade. Basically, the Mexican cartels are kind of loose with it, and people are dying and everything like that. And the Americans kind of form an alliance with the Colombians in order to kind of stabilize things a little bit so that they have more control over things. Josh Brolin says something pretty poignant to Emily Blunt. He says until you can get 20 million or whatever, he says 20 million people to stop shooting up and snorting the we want to be able to control it as best as we can.
Yeah.
And the Benicio del Toro, the whole ending sequence, he shoots Manuel Diaz, and then a dead Manuel Diaz is like, the car just goes up to the gate, and Benicio del Toro standing back there and just shoots them all real quick, and then he goes through the house like this. It's just so cool.
Oh my God, just the image of him strolling up to the dinner table.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how Fausto Alcorn, or I think that was his name, how he says to Del Toro, he's like, what happened to your wife and daughter wasn't personal, and Benicio del Toro's like screw you, for me it was.
Which to me shows, especially where you have your two sons and your wife, and I mean, I kind of feeling he was going to kill the family either way. But can you imagine, like, the guy, like, has your and you would say it wasn't, like, try to make some, even if you don't meet it, like, make something up,
He knew he was licked.
Yeah, but, at least the wife and the kids could have survived. But, yeah, I felt really bad for the kids. I mean, yeah, because they're the true innocent ones. Because I'm sure the wife knew what his business was, unless she was completely, like, ignorant.
It was a nice house, too.
Yeah.
Drugs, never mind, I'm not going to say.
Hey, well.
Get into the drug trade, kids. Just kidding. That was a nice house, though.
It was a nice house. But also, you think about, like, they live in comfort because they believe they're guards. And then it's like the fact that one guy takes out all your security. It's like, yeah, junky security. Like, I was like, he took them all out.
And that's why he's so terrifying.
Yeah.
Because he can do that.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
This is also another Taylor Sheridan written joint.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of those in our slow but sure transition to a Yellowstone podcast.
Oh, no. Yeah, if you didn't, he was the one that wrote Wind River.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote this also. He's also, what else has he done other than Yellowstone in these two movies?
Hell or High Water, he
That's
wrote.
Right, yeah.
He wrote the sequel to Sicario as well, the Without Remorse, that Tom Clancy movie with Michael B. Jordan.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible movie.
Those Who Wish Me Dead? I don't know.
Never heard of that.
Mayor of Kingstown, the show with Jeremy Renner.
Oh, yeah.
Tulsa King with
Sly.
Yeah. Special Ops Lioness. No clue what that is.
Oh, is that the one with the woman from Avatar?
Oh, it is. Yes, that's Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, that's right.
Lawmen, Bass Reeves.
Interesting.
And Landman.
Is
Sounds
the one
like
with Zoe Saldana where she's like avenging her family on another, like...
No, that's
she's a hit woman. Oh no, that's...
She's recruited in the CIA Lioness program and tasked with befriending the daughter of a terrorist financier.
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different
You're
film.
You're thinking of...
There's a scene where she's in the pool and there's the sharks in the pool and she takes the... what's that?
The heck's that movie?
I don't know, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, because I think she's also trying to avenge her family, and
that's another like drug cartel kind of movie.
Yeah, but she's so good in that.
It's
film.
like something with an A at the end. It's like an American word, but with an A, like to make it Spanish. I think, like
Colombiana.
That's it. Yeah. I guess Colombian is not an American word, but I'm glad you knew what I meant. Yeah, that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good.
That is a good movie. One thing that I'm gonna bring up before we cut off. I know I have fanboyed over him before. I'm going to fanboy over him again. Roger Deakins, the cinematographer of this movie, is just a god to me. I think he's just he's as good as it gets. And Ben brought up somebody once. Do you remember who the other cinematographer was that he brought up? And then he brought him up to you, and he was like, "Oh, I think this guy's really good." And you were like, "Well, now you're just comparing gods and gods or something like that."
Who? Oh God, the guy who does the new Spielberg stuff.
Oh yeah.
No. Lubeski.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
So just the shots in this, there's a couple that really stand out to me. There's all the he really gets the landscape in this movie very well.
Mm-hmm.
You see the storm clouds coming in and everything like that, and obviously he's just shooting nature right there. I mean that's
Yeah.
But there's the scene where the buses are leaving.
Yeah.
And the sun is behind the clouds, and he's got it. He's just using natural light to silhouette things.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite shot is when they're gearing up to go into the tunnel, and then it's dusk, so you get the sun in the background, and the soldiers are just walking, and they're silhouetted, and then they kind of like are going into shadow and everything like that. It's really just masterful.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments is in the beginning when Emily Blunt's character is storming the house, and they just focus on the lace curtains.
Yeah.
And you see the shadow touch the lace, and then it just, and like I was trying to figure out what that choice meant. Like to me, I kind of saw it as it's almost something so mundane, but something sinister is creeping in. That's kind of how I almost read it. Like
definitely.
Because like it's just the shot of the curtains, and then you see a shadow touch the edge of it. Yeah, because like you think about it too, it's like it's just a house.
Yeah.
And also the idea that facades and what's behind it, because we said how like even the newscast like about a suburban area and the horrors within, which is also why they choose those locations too, because no one's going to suspect that you're doing something shady in a suburban area, which also makes you feel for the people that they took to the house because there are other houses around, but no one knew any ostensibly. So yeah, that's kind of how I saw it, but it was a very beautiful. The way he shot that moment was very nice. I liked it.
The whole look of this movie, like so much tries to rip
Yeah.
off Deacon style. Like I think you see a lot of it in a lot of digitally shot stuff now. Like you look at Netflix originals and stuff, and a lot of them try to have that like very clean, very sleek, but like real look to it, and they can't do it. They can't do it like this. Like just that scene where they're like getting briefed in that terrible, like very boring, bland building, and they're sitting on the worst chairs ever. Like it just something about it hits so much more viscerally here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you bring up the shades and kind of like the dust in the air or whatever it is. That if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed or not, but that shot happens 2 other times. So it happens with the police officer in Nogales when he's sleeping and he wakes up. You get the same kind of what are the window shades and the dust, and then you get it in Emily Blunt's house when she wakes up. You get the shades and the dust and everything like that. So there's definitely a significance to it, and I like your interpretation of it. I think that's probably pretty accurate. It's kind of something like something sinister is going on here or something.
Like honestly, the shots with the cop, like when we first see him and then you see his wife and kids, I was almost waiting for like a shootout to happen, because I thought he's one of those good cops fighting the cartel, and that's why they're focusing on him. And I mean, I genuinely think he was a good man who made a really poor life choice.
Guy trying to provide for his
he
family.
was really pushed into it a good amount too. Like it's
and it's so sad how at the end you focus on his body on a dirt road, like and I'm assuming the wife finds out. Like I'm going to assume it's
I bet she never actually finds out what really happens to him. That's what I was thinking. Like, she's probably never going to find out what actually happened.
Yeah.
On a similar note, the very end scene of like the soccer game, and you just hear the gunshots in the background. The people pause, but
they just keep going.
Yeah, like it's such a deeply sad.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like which maybe you guys know this already, the Cranberries song "Zombies," the original music video. Like I found out at the time that they were filming it, there were gunshots, and the singers told the kids just keep on playing. because there's the kids of like scene of the kids playing soccer or something like that, and she didn't want the kids to be nervous. They said just keep on playing.
Where were they filming the video?
I'm assuming it was in the north of
Ireland.
Northern
Ireland.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because there were actual gunshots, there was actual gun battle occurring, but I think if I'm not mistaken that they wanted the kids to like just be calm, like continue doing what you're doing. But that's reminding me like how you become so desensitized because they stop and you can see they're like, okay, where is it? Oh, it's far off. Let's not worry about it. Yeah. And they just continue playing. Yeah. You know, because even the whole shots when they're traveling through the city and you see the bodies, the people playing, it's like, it reminds me of like when they talk about Rio de Janeiro and the favelas and the amount of violence in the favelas, like the police officers or even the, like, and people have to kind of live with that. Like you have to go on because if that's an everyday occurrence, you either adjust or you have to like leave. Yeah. And it's a shame how you do kind of become desensitized because that's how you survive the situation that you're in. But it is very heartbreaking. And I was also thinking about the shot where you see the city and then it's the desert and then you see the city again. And, like, I was almost thinking, oh, my God, if they put a body there, you'll never find it. Like, that's what went through my when I saw that shot, because the vastness of the desert.
There's the bit in Casino when they're talking about how, like, the deserts outside of Vegas are just filled with bodies. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Which I'm sure is very true.
And did you notice that, you know, really, you notice it in a lot of the aerial shots, and you notice it when they're like looking at Mexico from a distance, or when you're with the family in Nogales, it's usually filmed behind, like, there's always a fence. You always see a fence, and you're there's a lot of fences in it, and it's always shot from kind of the inside of the fence, like these people are trapped in this world. Like
that's such a classic Western thing too. The fence, the barriers.
It also gives a sense of claustrophobia. Like every time I was with the cop and the family's like, oh, okay, when are they gonna die? When are they gonna kill the family? Like that's what I honestly thought was going to happen, you know. And even the scene where the son touches his gun, he says, never touch the gun, which I think is another hint that he's in that world, but he wants his son removed from it.
Yeah, you know? I got the vibe that he was just a guy that was trying to provide for his family, and that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, his wife didn't seem too happy about it, but she still made him. That breakfast looked amazing.
I have a lot more sympathy for him than John Bernthal.
Yo, yeah. Yeah. So, you guys have anything else?
No, just like the true feeling of dread was throughout the movie, between the music, between the close-ups, between the feeling of claustrophobia with the house scenes. You really felt the dread, especially of Emily Blunt's character. The whole highway chase scene is so brilliantly done, where it's like, even the claustrophobia that you're in a car. Like I was thinking, oh my God, the minute they get stuck, it's just, oh, don't worry, it's just a car broken down. I was like, no, you have to worry. You know, because car on that side, car. And when the guy says, oh, check it out, and he clocks, but also the way those characters, unlike Emily Blunt, are monitoring the other vehicles, like Benicio del Toro's character, when he tells her, take your firearm out, and he's watching the other, and how he can immediately spot the ones, that's what you have to worry about. Or even the scene where there was that lone police car driving, and Emily Blunt's like, just, oh, we lost it. He was like, oh, look at that. Like, what was that car doing? And it's just, I don't know, it's just really intense. So, I did a fantastic job of creating that atmosphere of dread, of uncertainty. It's, great job.
This movie is pretty great. Like, you know, Taylor Sheridan, he writes Westerns. That's really becoming clear to me after you mentioned about the fences and the barriers and all that. Like this is riffing on a lot of the same material that, like, The Searchers is. And, you know, the concept of, like, okay, here are these very scary, violent men that, like, our civilization is using as a wall of defense. And, like, and it doesn't, like, I think this just kind of lets you sit with that. And I like that. I'm a big fan, and, like, I don't know, they go so far with it, with, like, a very simple story, like plot wise, nothing too crazy happens, but it looks amazing, sounds amazing, and you're in it fully from the jump.
I couldn't agree more with what you guys said. I mean, just great performances, great visuals. It just really it's a movie that I've probably seen about a dozen times. I mean, it really is just so good, and it's something that I feel like I kind of pick up different things every time I watch it. And it really is. I mean, it's like it's intense every time. You know, them driving every time they're all like in the caravan driving, and like how fast they're going and how close the cars are to each other. I'm like, I want to drive like that. That's why I'm always like, why aren't there aggressive driving courses? Like there are defensive driving courses. But I don't think I'll ever get that. My buddy who's a police officer said they do teach you how to like aggressively drive as a police officer, because like if you have to like run another car off the road or something. And I was like, can I just do that the next time they train for that? And he said, no, I don't think they let you do that. So that sucks. But should we rate it?
Yeah.
All right, what are we rating it out of?
I don't know.
I was gonna say bullets seems a little bleak.
There's not many cartels. Yeah, there's not many happy things in this movie.
Maybe we just do stars for this one.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
I would give it 4 stars.
4 stars. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm hitting this with a nice solid 4 too.
Yeah. I'm going 5.
Let's
I go 5 for a lot of things, and I love a lot of things less than this. So, 5 for me. So, thank you guys for watching the movie. Thank you guys for watching the podcast and listening to the podcast. We'll be back next week. Until then,
we're going to lighten things up next week. Don't worry, guys.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
All right. Bye, everyone.